From Beam Media in Dallas, Texas, this is the Jack Attack, the new series where I, Jack Everett, tackle the toughest questions in hopes to find meaning in the universe. And today, I got a question that has bothered me for a long time, a very long time. This question was first asked of me in 1999 when I played the video game Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Let's go to the clip.
As I stepped onto the mag tube, a thought struck me. Can there be friction where there is no substance? And can substance be tricked into hiding from itself? Dr. Gail Nambala, Morgan Industries researcher.
So as you can see here, this is actually a two-part question. The first question asked is, can there be friction where there is no substance? And the second question is, what in the heck is a mag tube that this person stepped out of that even caused them to think that? So let's address the first question there. Now this has been a very important question to me for many years because after I was asked this question, I thought a lot about it and I didn't really understand it, but I sure thought it was a cool sounding question. So I took a physics class in high school, and as soon as the topic of friction came up, I put my hand up and I said, "Mr. Halliday, I've got an important question about friction." And he said, "Yeah?" And I said, "Can there be friction when there is no substance?" And he looked at me like I was a complete idiot and said, "Put your hand down, son." And I did, and I felt very embarrassed. And I did not get the answer to this question while I was in high school physics. But I did go on to take many physics classes in college in hopes to find the answer. So I'll show you here is my notes from Physics 1010. And from this, we can learn some important things about physics that will help us answer the question. So the first thing that I learned in physics was scientific assumptions. Yes, indeed. Science is not strictly observational. Science is based in a certain number of assumptions, and if those assumptions are wrong, all of science goes with it. So there's a few assumptions. Number one is that nature operates through consistent and testable laws. Number two, all events in nature have causes. Number three, the laws of the universe are the same in any place in space. Number four, the laws of the universe are the same at any time in history. Number five, the laws of the universe don't contradict each other. And finally, just to sum up the scientific assumptions, remember the principle of Occam's razor. And that says, of any variety of plausible explanation, the simplest explanation is correct. So with that thing that we've just learned from my community college science class, I think we're prepared to begin answering the question. And to do that, we must first figure out what in the heck friction is. You know, if we want to know if there can be friction without substance, we must look up what friction is. And to do that, I have this physics book, and it probably weighs 100 pounds. Well, okay, I'm exaggerating. It doesn't really weigh 100 pounds. But this book is over 1,000 pages long. So we actually, in physics, you learn about friction fairly where the word friction appears in bold. Let's read the sentence that has the word friction in bold. It says, "The force responsible for these sorts of behavior is friction." So we know from that friction is responsible for a kind of behavior. So we might actually frog, and notice how the frog is not slipping down that inclined angle. And that is because the force of friction prevents the definition of friction. There's no actual formulas there for friction. So let me go back to the index. And actually on this last page, there's some interesting reference of friction is clearly not enough for us to understand it. So we actually will probably need to go to page. It is saying friction pushes in the opposite direction. Oh, yeah, I was actually on page 161, so I wasn't even reading stuff. I was just making stuff and up. That is a kinetic friction, not dynamic friction. But probably you could use those words interchangeably. Maybe. Anyway, so there is no actual definition of friction in this book. There's just a bunch of formulas and stuff. So I think we're actually going to have to do maybe what I should have done from the start, and we're going to look it up on the internet. So turning over to my computer over here and looking up friction on the internets, it says friction is the force resisting the relative motion of solid surfaces. All right, so right there we have that friction. Let me draw this out for you, if I may. Friction is, say we have a solid surface like that. And we'll say this one can't even move. So it's like a table at an angle. And then we have maybe an object on top of it, like this box here. Now, here, say here's the center of mass of the object. Now, gravity will be pulling down on that object, so it'll be parallel to the table. But the force of friction will push the table in exactly the opposite direction, plus this vector, balanced to 0, and we get no movement. And that is what friction is. And so we can see there that by the very definition of friction, that the answer to the question is no. Because friction requires two objects for it to even exist. So no, there cannot be friction without substance. And I am beginning to suspect that they only put that quote in that video game because it sounded cool. And clearly it sounded really cool because I made a whole video dedicated to answering this question that got absolutely nowhere. You guys don't even realize this, but I have this book of physics because I got a degree in college in science just so that I could learn the answer to this question. And I never even found out the answer till now, where I realized it was just made up for a video game. Anyway, this has been the Jack Attack. Thanks for watching. I'm Jack Everett.